The world just held its breath. On March 26, 2026, Israel announced it had killed Admiral Alireza Tangsiri, the man who physically locked the door on one of the most important waterways on the planet. The Strait of Hormuz, 20 miles wide at its narrowest point, and right now thousands of ships are frozen, oil prices are exploding, and the global economy is staring into an abyss. This is not a distant crisis. This is happening right now, and every person who fills a gas tank, buys groceries, or pays an electricity bill is about to feel it. The Strait of Hormuz has experienced its most severe disruption in modern history since February 28, 2026, when the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iran under Operation Epic Fury. Those strikes killed Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei and triggered a chain reaction that shook the entire global order. Iran's response was swift and brutal. It turned the key on the world's most critical energy corridor and slammed the door shut. The Strait of Hormuz is just over 20 miles wide at its narrowest point, yet it normally carries a fifth of the entire world's oil and gas. Think about that. One choke point, one narrow strip of water between Iran and Oman, and if it closes, the energy arteries of the modern world begin to collapse. Admiral Alireza Tangsiri, commander of Iran's IRGC Navy for 8 years, had been stationed in the port city of Bandar Abbas, sitting right on the northern edge of the strait, personally overseeing which ships were allowed to pass and which were turned back. His social media accounts were posting real-time updates on vessel permissions, and Iran had effectively begun charging tolls for safe passage. This was not a military tactic. This was economic warfare executed with precision. On the night of March 25th, Israel carried out what it called a precise IDF strike in Bandar Abbas. By morning, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz confirmed Tangsiri was dead, along with several other senior naval commanders. The man who was directly responsible for the terrorist operation of mining and blocking the Strait of Hormuz to shipping was blown up and eliminated, Katz declared. U.S. Central Command confirmed the death shortly after, with Admiral Brad Cooper stating that Tangsiri's killing makes the region safer. He added that strikes on the Iranian Navy would continue. But here is where the story gets complicated, and where the world's anxiety deepens rather than eases. As of March 27th, the IRGC announced that the strait remains closed to any vessel going to or from ports of the United States, Israel, and their allies. Killing the commander did not open the strait. The blockade did not dissolve overnight. The system Tangsiri built is still running, because Iran didn't build this blockade around one man. It was built into the military and naval infrastructure of the entire IRGC. Major shipping companies including Maersk, CMA CGM, and Hapag-Lloyd have already suspended transits through the strait and related routes. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthi movement resumed attacks in the Red Sea, forcing Suez Canal traffic to reroute around Africa's Cape of Good Hope, adding weeks to shipping times and dramatically increasing costs. Brent crude oil prices surpassed $100 per barrel on March 8, 2026 for the first time in 4 years, peaking at $126 per barrel. Economists have described this as the largest disruption to the global energy supply since the 1970s oil crisis, and the largest in the entire recorded history of the global oil market. Other commodities, aluminum, fertilizer, helium, have all spiked. European governments are scrambling. Germany approved emergency measures to cap fuel price increases, while Poland cut fuel taxes and froze pump prices. Romania and Hungary followed with similar emergency controls. Approximately 150 freight ships, including dozens of oil tankers, were stranded and stalled in the Persian Gulf. These are not just numbers. Each of those ships represents fuel, medicine, food, electronics, raw materials, the supply chain of modern civilization floating helplessly in contested waters. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters the U.S. has made concrete progress in diplomatic talks and noted a growing amount of energy beginning to flow through the strait, but the broader picture remains deeply uncertain. Iran's counterproposal to any deal includes recognition of Iranian authority over the Strait of Hormuz itself, a demand that no Western power can realistically accept. President Trump insisted that Iran is begging for a deal and has paused the destruction of Iranian energy infrastructure for 10 days, until April 6, 2026, to allow talks to continue. But with Tangsiri dead, with the IRGC's naval command structure fractured, and with no replacement yet publicly announced, the real question is, who is giving the orders now? And will those orders be more extreme or more flexible? History tells us that when a military command structure loses its senior leadership rapidly, the immediate response is often escalation, not retreat. The IRGC has every incentive to prove it remains capable and deadly, even without Tangsiri. Iran had already conducted 21 confirmed attacks on merchant ships as of mid-March 2026. Tangsiri is gone, but the mines are still in the water. The IRGC fast boats are still operational, and the ideology driving this blockade has not changed. So what happens to those 2,000 ships? The honest answer is, no one knows yet. The killing of Tangsiri is significant. It is a blow to Iran's naval command. But it is not the end of this crisis. The strait will not reopen because one admiral was eliminated. It will reopen only when a political solution is reached, or when military force makes continued blockade impossible. What is certain is this: the world has never been more aware of how fragile global prosperity is. One choke point, one conflict, one man with his finger on the world's energy switch, and now that man is gone, but the switch is still off.